This is F.D. Recovery, where we interview addicts and alcoholics.
Our aim is that through this podcast, we might help you on your journey of recovery.
Thank you for listening.
Hello. This is Frank with F.D. Recovery. Don't mind the little bit of cold that you hear in my voice. It's passing. All right, it's August 11th, 2026. How are you guys doing? Started the podcast a day late, but hey, we're here. We're getting it done and making it happen. So last week's weekly intention was complacency. We'll go over that, and then we'll dive into the new one for the week, which will be the topic of flow state. What does that mean? Well, we'll get into it. But before we do that, complacency. You know, I talked about complacency in my recovery, and the common thread came through is like it's really just what leads to the negatives in our recovery and even the relapses, right? Just kind of talking about the I got it, I got this, and for us addicts that been around the block and completely gave ourselves to this program, at least in some form or another, this recovery trip, we realize that our pride and ego is, at the epicenter of most of what's going on, along with some other stuff too, don't get me wrong. But that complacency is a motherfucker, right? That, I got this, everything's good. I think I'll skip my meetings. I think I'll have a near beer, or a non-alcoholic beer, or, we just rest on all the things that we know that keep us well. I won't call my sponsor. Why? Because, ain't nothing wrong, right? I won't connect as much with my homies that I know I need to connect with. I'm going to skip that meeting because, ... fill in the blank, right? We have all of our excuses, and, I'm too tired, and all these things that kind of spitfire from the complacency trap. And we're trying to, I'm no expert on recovery, but it seems to me like with a lot of my experiences, I've been pretty stupid, if that makes sense, right? Like just really dumb. And that's not me bashing on myself. It's just me kind of being real. And I just kind of faked a funk for so long. And I just got to keep it real. I was really stupid for very, very long. And I'm just trying to get in a better swing of things, right? So it's better to just right size myself and understand. Like today, I'm doing things pretty good and I'm kicking ass. But I got to keep myself right sized through all that, because that's the number one offender when we talk about complacency, right? We have an exaggerated definition of ourselves and vision of ourselves, and we think we fucking got this, and I don't need that, I don't need this, I don't need those motherfuckers, fuck this, blah blah blah, because it leads into those negative bias mindsets. And what we try to, what we're trying to convey with all this and in our recovery, in our life, or at least what I am, is just like, man, there's an easier, softer way. And as long as you get out of that way, you might just have a fighting chance, right? Because complacency is a real sneaky thing, because it's attached to a lot of excuses, attached to a lot of pride, a lot of ego. And you can fall into a very rationalized and justified trap, right? And we're the best buyers of our own bullshit, especially when it comes to complacency. I know when I'm slipping, it's just like I'll the isolation is deep, and I'm starting to talk shit about people. I'm using judgment to separate me from everyone else. And I'm just playing the he, that, and them, and fuck you. And I'm just playing all that bullshit and looking for all the wrong and everything. And looking for somebody to blame, looking for somebody to to pass the accountability to, right? Because sometimes when we get complacent, we just get kind of done with all the stuff. I don't need those spiritual principles. I don't need those meetings. I can go to, the gambling hall, card hall. I can pick up all these scratchers, right? And it just one thing leads to a next, right? And that's not dissing if anybody's gambling and all that, because I know, but it's just advice that, that for me and this addict, that kind of keeps me in that tailspin, right? Gets me around the wrong people, puts me in different places where I'm like, oh, wow, maybe a 2:00 visit to Thunder Valley is a good idea. Or, and if I'm not, I could run into the wrong person, have the wrong fight before I leave. It takes a perfect storm. So it's like, the best remedy is to not put myself in risky behaviors, right? And understanding that ahead of time and knowing what makes you tick, it helps you fall away from a little bit of that complacency trap and just, those small permissions that we give ourselves, and that leads to big complacency falls, right? I get a little bit more relaxed with what I allow in my life, and all of a sudden I find myself in unfamiliar waters and familiar faces, with the same scenarios, and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, okay, that happened quick. I'm asking for drugs after I take the drink, and they're offering free drinks. Might as well. I got a couple $100 in my pocket to spend, and that's just the same familiar trap with me. So when we talk about complacency, it's talking about the action plan that we're kind of have in place to make sure that we stay in that maintenance phase instead of that the other, right? So I won't drown on and on about complacency. That's kind of all I have. And we had a pretty good talk at the rehab, and just said what we thought and how it fit in our life and our recovery, and just kind of let it groove from there. And let's shift on into the flow state, right? And I like the flow state, right, is a big part of why I named this podcast Flow Directive. But it's, that flow state that we find ourselves in, for me, represents that pocket that, when I'm in the zone with my higher power, and I'm getting, and I'm in my God's will, and all of a sudden everything's clicking, and I'm saying the right things, and I'm vibing the right vibes, and I'm doing the right things, taking the next right step, and just doing the next right thing. And all of a sudden I'm just in that flow state, and God got me, right? And at least that's what it means to me. But let's see what Almighty Google has to say about the flow state. A flow state is a mental condition of complete immersion, intense focus, and energized enjoyment in activity, commonly known as in the zone. Popularized by psychologists, I cannot pronounce that name. Mihaly, whoa, that's about a fucking 20 letter last name. Not even gonna try to butcher that. Anyways, it happens when a task balances your skills with meaningful challenges, right? Deep concentration, total focus on the present task with outside distractions fading away. Loss of time. Hours can feel like minutes, or time may seem to stop entirely. No self-consciousness, inner criticism, worry, doubt disappears, action and awareness merge. Right, and that's the one I kind of vibe with, because that's where I know I'm in the pocket of my higher power, when that inner critic is silenced, and the worries and doubt and the fear, the fear's gone, and I'm just in that pocket, right? And action and awareness is merged, right? I couldn't have put it better. Immediate, or Google couldn't have put it better, right? Immediate feedback, knowing instantly what steps to take as you progress through the activity. And that could be anything, right? A hobby, your work, right? When you're in the zone, it's a good feeling, right? And I like to pertain I like to pertain this a little bit more spiritual rather than just in the zone, right? It's like a spiritual zone that I find myself in that flow state. And core requirements, clear goals, knowing precisely what you need to do and accomplish from moment to moment, balanced challenge. The task must be hard enough to keep you engaged. Yeah, it goes on and on and on, right? You get to work better, get more connected, less stress and worry, right? It's how do we get there? How? Right? For me, we're talking about that the flow state of spiritual balance, right? Equilibrium, whatever, just clicking on all cylinders, right? I know that for me, there's a lot of things that get me there, right? Meetings get me there, shit, prayer gets me there, and at certain times. Um, those do it more than others, right? Prayer can really get me there, and then prayer could just do it a little bit, but then I go to a meeting and then it'll kill it. And then sometimes vice versa, right? That's why it's important that you keep engaged with all this, right? Keep coming back to your tools and using them, because that's the reason we got them, right? To use them. We got that toolbox to use. Pop that puppy open and let it rip, right? So we're talking about, in the moment, getting connected. Like meditation really helps me. Breath work, breath of fire. And I just can't stress enough. If you guys don't know what breath of fire is, make sure you guys look it up and practice it. That completely changed my whole point of view on meditation, right? It helped me out so much. Whenever I'm just, overstressed, panic attacks, what have you, I do the breath of fire, and I'm not saying it works every single time, but it does ease the madness within my mind, especially when the monkey mind's going off, right? And we got to pay homage to this human experience. It's not about blocking uncomfortable things out, and I think that's what we've all tried to do for so long. For me, it's like, I spent so long trying to just drown out pain and discomfort, and not realizing that he who chases pleasure will find much discomfort, because you cannot avoid pain in this life, but you can, suffering is optional, like the Buddha lets us know, right? You can't avoid pain, and I thought that I was just supposed to feel good all the time, but that's not realistic. You have to build the resilience in life that help you cope and manage the stress and pain. And all of a sudden you start gaining a perspective in life where you can start becoming stronger, and you can withstand the next storm that comes, right? And I think that's such valuable information, because a lot of the time I just thought, well, I just deny everything within me. I deny this pain and I'll just deal with it later, push it off on the back burner, what have you. But the funny thing about the things you do not face in your subconscious, it will bleed out and it'll paint into the picture of life. And all of a sudden you'll be stuck with the horror of things you never face, and everything that bled from your subconscious will now be in your reality in some form or another, right? So for me, it's like I got to be very, very careful, right? I got to address the things that need to be addressed within me and face the demons, or they will deal with me, right? I realize that when I wake up, it's me versus me, and I, I'm the creator of all my bullshit, man. I look back at everything, and sure, there was perpetrators here and there, but none biggest perpetrated more than me, right? I hurt myself so much in this life, and I look back at all the people I blamed and try to, say you did this and you did that, and in the end, all that pain allowed me to produce more pain onto others, and I thought it was this balance thing, right? And I realized that I became something that I swore I'd never become, and I swore I hated, right? And that's just for me, it was just like the natural outcome of trying to out hate something, right? There's things in my life that I try to cover up with hate, and I thought if I hated it enough, it will change. And that's not how it works. That's not how healing works, right? I watch people match hate with hate and anger with anger. And it's like, yeah, you do what you want, man. But I've faced a lot of demons to know that's just not the way. You can't out hate something. You can't get angry at something enough to where it'll get fixed or heal. You can't hate something enough to where you can hate it to healing. That's just not the way it works. For me, like, I use that as fuel now. Whenever I feel hate or anger, I use it as fuel and push it towards something that's a little bit more positive. I use it in the gym, right? Transmute it, right? Try to understand it. Look at it under the microscope, saying, why am I feeling this? And it's okay if I'm feeling it. It's okay, guys. If you're feeling angry out there, it's not about bashing you for feeling angry. Shit, what's worse about you're feeling angry and then you feel bad about being angry? Take it easy on yourself, guys. Understand that you're human. You've only done this once, at least we know of, right? Unless you believe in reincarnation, you probably do it a few times. But my limited brain only knows this one existence that I've ever lived. And so I try to take it easy on myself, even though I really suck at it at times, right? We're just like, we kick our own ass sometimes. And I'm getting better at it. And I know you guys can vibe with that out there. If you're a human being with breath in your lungs and, blood pumping through your heart, you know exactly what I'm talking about, man. That it's a forever game. We gotta constantly reach out to the light and fine tune what we got going on in us, especially this spiritual war that we're all immersed in, whether you realize it or not. There's a tug of war out there, and it's within you, and it's all within you, right? It's never, and by out there I mean within, right? And everybody has their own personal journey, and I hope that this podcast is putting something out there that helps you on your own personal journey and helps you with what you're going on with inside, right? All right, guys. This week we're gonna work on getting into that flow state, right? Exercise gets me in that flow state big time. I should have said that first. I don't know why I didn't, because it's one of my biggest tools I use, right? But using exercise, movement, get that body moving, right? Get the sweat going, all of it, guys. You'd be glad that you did, and you'd be glad that you would force that habit into your life. This is Frank, F.D. Recovery, and we out. We love you guys. Here's to another week. Flow state. Let's try to get there, guys. I love you guys. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to F.D. Recovery. A reminder, be kind to yourself on this journey of recovery. Also, call your sponsor. Get connected to local support groups. And for one day at a time, stay clean and sober.